Hello and welcome to this part 0 of Let's Play Dreamfall, The Longest Journey. Before we begin for real, let's look back at the events of the first The Longest Journey game, for those of you who don't know that game or don't remember the story. Obviously, there are heavy spoilers here, so if you plan to play The Longest Journey yourself, or want to watch my full Let's Play of that game, I suggest you stop here. The Longest Journey is framed as an old lady telling a story. The story she tells is the story of April Ryan, an art student at the Venice Academy of Visual Arts in Venice, Newport, USA, in the year 2209. She's an ordinary 18-year-old girl who lives at a student dorm called the Border House. However, she has been having strange dreams lately involving talking dragons, and a mysterious vortex that attacks her. An old Spaniard called Cortez tells her he knows about her dreams, but April is reluctant to trust him, at least until strange things start happening. Bizarre creatures appear in front of everyone, almost as if dreams are leaking into reality. When she seeks out Cortez for answers, he tells April that she is a shifter, someone who can cross the divide between worlds. She travels to another world, to Arcadia, to a city called Marcuria, where she learns the history of the twin worlds. A long time ago, the Earth was one world, where science and magic existed side by side. But humanity abused this power, so it was decided to split the world in two. Stark, a world of science, our world, April's world, and Arcadia, a world of magic. 4 dragons, or dragkin, were instrumental in dividing the world. One of the kin also founded a religious movement called the Fathers, or the Sentinel, who watch over the balance between magic and science. They also appointed a guardian of the balance, who sits in a tower in a special realm and controls the flow between magic and science to maintain the balance. However, an organization called the Vanguard, led by someone called Jacob McCallan, wants to reunite the two worlds so they can use the power of magic and science for their plans of world domination. To this end, they have intercepted every potential future guardian. The Vanguard have been performing experiments on the next guardian, Gordon Halloway, splitting him in 2 halves of logic and chaos, in the hopes that they can control him, and through him the balance when he becomes Guardian. Because of this, when the last Guardian stepped down, no one was there to replace him. As a result, the balance is failing. April is told that she has a destiny to save the twin worlds. She must find 4 pieces of a stone disc and 4 dragon's eye jewels that will allow her access into the Guardian's tower, and replace a disc that was broken when the last Guardian left. The pieces of the disc are capped by 4 magical races in Arcadia, and to find the jewels, she must find the dragkin, 2 in Stark and 2 in Arcadia. She must also find the entrance to the Guardian's realm, and the previous Guardian himself, who was held captive by the Vanguard. With the help of Brian Westhouse, a man who, like April, traveled from Stark to Arcadia, she is able to return to Stark. There, she works to infiltrate the Vanguard, who in Stark use the name the Church of Voltec. She receives help from people like Cortez, Father Raoul, a Catholic priest who is actually also a Sentinel Minstrom, and a crazy hacker called Burns Flipper, who helps her decode information and get a fake ID to break into the headquarters of the Church of Voltec. When an accidental shift in the middle of the night returns April to Arcadia, she decides to use the opportunity to begin her mission there, locate the 4 pieces of the disc and the 2 dragkin in Arcadia. After some reading, she decides that the Elation, a race of winged people that are renowned storytellers, could likely help her, and tries to get passage on a ship to the Isle of Eleus. But before she can do this, she must defeat the evil alchemist Roper Clax, who has trapped the wind. On the way, she befriends the Banda, a race of mole-like creatures who give her the first piece of the disc. She also meets up with Crow, a talking bird who will become her sidekick for the remainder of the journey. Before she can set out for Eleus, Vestrum Tobias of the Sentinel has a shocking revelation. April will become the next Guardian, and oversee the balance for 1,000 years. Not an easy thing to swallow for an 18-year-old girl, but over the course of the game, April comes to accept that this will be her destiny. When traveling to Eleus, the ship sinks due to April's own stupidity, and she meets with the Merim, a race of mermen who turns out share a common ancestry with the Elation. After she fulfills some prophecies, she unites the 2 races and receives their piece of the stone disc. The Merim also let her talk to their ancient sleeping god, who is the blue of the dragkin, and gives her one of the jewels. He also heavily implies that there is more to April than we currently know. the blue of the kin gets a race called the Dark People to return April to Marcuria. They also give her another piece of the disc and the map to the entrance of the Guardian's realm. Once in Marcuria, she finds the place deserted due to an impending invasion of the Tyren, who are working for the Vanguard. When she is attacked by the Chaos Vortex that she previously saw in her dream, a shift opens and she returns to Stark. Back in Stark, Gordon Holloway and his henchmen from the Church of Voltec have found April's home and are holding her friends hostage. April manages to escape the border house but gets cornered soon after. Then, a mysterious door opens, taking her to House of All Worlds. There she meets Lady Alvane, the old lady who was telling the story of the longest journey at the beginning. Lady Alvane seems to know a lot about April, and sends her back to Arcadia, where she receives the fourth piece of the disc from her friend Abnaxis. She recreates the disc in the fires of the Sentinel Enclave, and manages to shift back to Stark just as the Tyran hordes invade. She makes one final trip to Arcadia to get the jewel from the White of the Dragon, and she reveals what the Blue Dragon previously hinted at, that April is the daughter of the White Dragon. The White Dragon then dies just as a new one is born to replace her, a new White Dragon whom April calls Sister. Back in Stark, April gets the fake ID from Burns Flipper and infiltrates the Church of Voltec, but gets captured by Jacob McCallan. She escapes again with the help of Cortez, and learns that Cortez and McCallan are the red and green of the Dragon. The two battle, and appear to destroy each other. It was not in vain, however, as April now has the remaining two jewels to complete the disc. Burns Flipper helps her decode the map to the entrance of the Guardian's realm, which it turns out is in space. She signs up for the colonization program and goes to a space station, where it turns out the Vanguard are also holding the previous Guardian. She rescues him and manages to enter the Guardian's realm, where she must face 3 final challenges before she can enter the tower. Once in the tower, it mysteriously rejects April, but before they can figure out why, Gordon Holloway reveals himself. He had followed them in, and plans to become Guardian so the Vanguard can complete their plans. But April reunites Gordon with the Chaos Vortex, which is the chaotic side of Gordon, and once he is whole again, he is out of the grasp of the Vanguard and becomes Guardian with no evil intent. The balance and the worlds are saved, but April, who had come to accept her fate as the next Guardian, is left hanging. What do you do after such an adventure? Where do you go after the destiny you thought you had turns out false? The game ends with Lady Alvane, who finishes telling the story, and it is strongly implied, though never actually stated, that Lady Alvane is April. Fast forward to 10 years later and we are ready to begin with Let's Play Dreamfall in the next video.